And welcome to Conservative Talk.
Lame ducks suck.
And true to fashion, Democrats are letting no good tragedy go to waste.
And we've been talking about it, but here's a real life house of cards.
And the White House and major media outlets are finally admitting conspiracy theories are real.
And speaking of conspiracy theories, in the conspiracy corner, Buck's brother, the Area 51 enthusiast, tells us about his close encounter with the MIB. Yeah, I really don't know where we go from here.
The simulation is real, my friend. And welcome back to Conservatives Talk. And as always, we'd like to make sure that we give a reminder to our viewers, make sure they're hitting the like button and the share button on all the content that we produce on any of the platforms that you run across our content on. And make sure you're also hitting the subscribe button. That way you'll always stay up to date on any of our content. You'll never miss a single moment of Jamie's infectious laugh or miss an ounce of that incredible smile. And we also like to encourage our viewers to go to our website at conservativestalk.org and hitting that sponsor tab in the upper right-hand corner or the lower right-hand corner and helping us out with what you're able. Because every little bit goes an incredibly long way from our sponsors. It is because of our sponsors that Jamie and I will ultimately become the dictators of the universe. So we've been saying the world, but our ultimate goal is the universe.
I'm not allowed to respond.
He is not. he has been warned. Yes. We will not be getting deplatformed anytime soon.
I can't say what I want to say.
No, you can't. and with that in mind, Jamie, would you like to give our first reminder?
Yeah. First reminder is don't forget to continue to boycott hometown headlines. Mm-hmm. It's great. Keep up the great work.
You are drilling holes in every bit of their pocketbooks.
Yep. I mean, it's gone now to there's just a weekend edition. Let's just put it that way. There's no longer a Sunday paper or a Saturday plus. It's just the weekend edition. That's telling in itself.
Oh.
It's because of this guy. I'm telling you, if they just drop this guy, everything else will be better.
In a perfect world. So, Jamie, how about your second reminder?
My second reminder is it has been a glorious 15 days since Stacey Abrams and the majority of the Democratic ticket have been put to rest.
They've been put to pasture.
Rest in the pasture.
Jamie, he's trying. He's trying. He is determined to do this. He is determined to do it. Will not stand for it, Jamie.
Hey, look. I don't know.
We're going to put a
We can't get canceled anymore. We can't get canceled anymore.
Oh, no.
It's not a thing.
It's just one platform. Okay? It's just one platform. There are so many more.
We're getting it now. Just wait. Once I get the cue from everybody else, we're going all out. Anyway, my next reminder is it's 12 days until the runoff here in Georgia that will decide where we are in the Senate.
So apparently we're not doing the drum roll anymore, but okay.
I just forgot about the drum roll. I'm really ready to get to the show because you know what? Like,
it's going to be a hard-hitting one.
Well, and here's the thing. We got the majority of the battle done. Time to get everybody out there, flood the polls again, finish it off. And
less than 2 weeks. Can you? I mean, wow. I mean, this has flown up.
But I mean, we've been
a lot of work's being done.
Hard.
Absolutely. But it has flown.
Yep.
I mean, that's the difference between the 9 weeks and then the 4 weeks there.
Yep. I think it's a good thing though.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely.
I think it's the best thing to happen, so we can go ahead and get everything out there, on politicos like us. It means we just work a little bit extra harder. But I mean, when you've been doing it for a year and a half almost, what's another month?
Yeah, what's another month? Well, With that in mind, we do like to say a quick thank you to our affiliates, and our first one being Net News Network. So Net News Network is a compilation of grassroots networks that come together and give you kind of an on-the-ground, firsthand experience of the local issues that are going on from a perspective of people who have firsthand knowledge of it and can speak very fluently with that. If you are interested in getting kind of the firsthand perspective from these contributors from across the nation, make sure you're going to netnewsnetwork.net and checking out and see what they have to say. Our other affiliate is Veterans for America First. So Veterans for America First is a grassroots compilation, or is a grassroots political organization that really pushes the America First policy agenda. And they do that through their advocation of America First candidates and really pushing that agenda and getting that message out. And they get that message out through their media arm, that is Vet's Voice. So if you search for Vet Voice on any major social media platform, you'll run across the premier America First policy agenda platform, and you'll be able to find contributors from across the country who not only really believe this wholeheartedly, but fight for it tooth and nail to ensure that we do remain the greatest country in the world. So make sure you are checking out Vet Voice on every major social media platform out there. So with that in mind, Jamie, let's jump right into our first topic, and that is
why lame ducks suck.
Yes, lame ducks suck, and that's, I mean, the title sums it up.
That's basically it. So, when we start looking at, what the definition of a lame duck is, it's just, that interim period in between, really any position where they are getting ready to be out, a new person has taken hold. And in this case, it's a lame duck Congress. Or, in presidential years, you'll have a lame duck president. And it just says during the time as everything gets transitioned over.
Yes. So as I'm sure all of our listeners are aware, the Republicans have taken back the House.
Yeah.
So we have accomplished that goal. We were able to accomplish at least half of what we were wanting to. But that is, so the example that you get, or that we kind of talked about there with the House, is really a premier example, or at least a contemporary example of what a lame duck session is, being that the Democrats are currently in control of Congress. When the new Congress comes in, because after all the elections that have been held, they know that they are no longer in power. So the likelihood that they are going to try and jam through all of these ultra progressive policies is very high, because they know that there's no political ramifications for any of that.
Correct.
One thing that we do want to take a moment to really express or to really get ahead of with some of this, because some of our detractors, and we know you are out there and we know you are listening, is they'll say, well, what about what happened in 2020 with the Supreme Court of Justice being rammed through with a quote unquote lame duck Senate? Because we know in 2021, the Senate was made 50-50 with the Vice President Kamala coming as a tiebreaker, so effectively giving Democrats the majority there. However, that's not the case, because of the fact that Georgia had the runoffs that weren't happening until 2021. So that confirmation was not a lame duck confirmation at all. Yeah, it was an effective, normal Senate confirmation.
Well, and I have a different perspective on this too. I mean, and here's the difference in my mind too. When you look at something like that, that's an appointment to a justice, which is by the body that is, in power at the time, right? What the difference here is we're talking about the implementation of rule changes and of policy changes inside the chamber that they are trying to bide a new elected body by, which anyone in government knows that, like, you can't bound a newly elected body, or you're not supposed to be able to, which is why this is, a little bit more controversial than something like an appointment position.
Well, and I agree with you on that, except for the fact of, at the time of the appointment, it was right there close to the presidential election. And the potential overturn that could have came from that election, regardless of what the outcome was. That's the argument, because Republicans said when they were getting ready to confirm, was it Gorsuch, that they were not going to allow Merrick Garland to go through. They were going to hold off until after the election.
Yeah, we'll just have to agree to disagree on part of this. I think it's just a bigger. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page.
We're definitely on the same page, but I think we're just, when we're talking about the appointment of going through the confirmation or anything of that nature for the Supreme Court, I just separate that out of just the animosity that comes with someone trying to ram through rule changes, and how the House is conducted. That it's just adding something else to the new Congress that has to be done, because now that
Well, what they're trying to do isn't a rule change as far as what this lame duck session's really wanting to push forward. It's an actual federal law that they're trying to impose.
Yeah, to me, it all counts the same. And here's what I mean by that, right? You're trying to bind us to something that clearly is going against what was now voted on, or the pathway that the American people and that the elected body would or can choose.
I agree with you.
I'm trying to be very general about this, because I'm trying to describe how this instance goes in multiple levels, right? You can't bind a city council. You can't bind any other newly elected board, private or public sector.
Well, you shouldn't be able to, but
again, Congress does whatever Congress wants.
Yeah, they are able to make their own rules, and that's constitutional.
Yep.
But what we're talking about as far as this new law that they're trying to push forward, and that it wholly focuses on immigration. And it's not the immigration that we would like to see, as opposed to, or in reference to an immigration re-overhaul or a re-overhaul of the entire immigration system in whole. They're wanting to push through and drill through amnesty. And they're wanting to push through and drill through DACA amnesty. And once they get that through, they're going to try and drill through amnesty in general for all of the illegal aliens that have crossed over the border.
Yep. Something like 3 million people.
Just
through DACA. Yeah.
Well, I mean, little over 2 million just this year. Well, last physical year alone.
Or for just immigration as a whole. But I'm talking about just DACA itself.
Is, that they know of, between 700,000 and upwards of 2 million.
Yep.
And
because I think that's why I'm mixing the number in, because I had 2.7 in my head.
2.7 being the highest. No, that's the higher number of the DACA recipients. That's the highest that they think that it would plateau out. The actual number of folks that have filed for DACA is 700,000 roughly.
So when you total, we're really looking at roughly close to 3 million people who they just want to try to pass through without actually going through and trying to rewrite the immigration.
Potentially. With DACA.
Which is what everyone in this country has been asking for.
But yes, they're trying to pass that through and just ram that through to give these illegal aliens. Albeit, I will say these recipients, or these DACA recipients, they were minors that were drug across the border and were granted sanctuary by the current president at the time, 2012, President Obama. Although that was determined later to be highly illegal what he did, but they were granted sanctuary more or less, and allowed to stay here. They had protections against deportation, things along that nature. But I believe it was last year that federal court came out and ruled that what they had done was, or what Obama had done, was highly illegal. And that was just here recently upheld in the past month or so in the appeals court. The Supreme Court has from my understanding at the moment, has no inclination of picking this up and running with it.
Yeah.
So that program has effectively been killed. So there will be no more DACA recipients outside of what they have claimed with that 700,000. The reason why we're talking about upwards of 2.5 million are those who had not claimed the DACA recipients.
Correct.
But are still DACA kids.
Here's why I have a problem with this. It's because I do not blame the children.
No, not at all.
And what is going on now is the Democratic Party is using them as a ploy.
As hostages, political hostages.
To try to make out this racist claim instead of, while they had the majority, if they really cared about those kids, if they really cared about this program or immigration as a whole, then they would use this time to kind of reform immigration, which is the only thing Republicans and conservatives have been asking for this entire time. We're not saying, we're saying put a moratorium on it. And then through that process, like you would with anything else in government, put a moratorium on it, rewrite the code, take 60 to 100 days, debate it, and then really get some meaningful legislation out of this.
As far as immigration policy altogether.
Yeah.
My thoughts are, if these DACA recipients or these DACA kids have not already began the process of becoming U.S. citizens, I say kick them all out.
I disagree with that.
Well, and I say that because they've had 10 years to initiate this process, knowing that they were not citizens.
But that's just
10 years.
Yeah, but that's knowing. Here's the thing, right? I don't blame children who came over here. I can't.
They were kids at the time. Now they're adults. They still had not initiated the process.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's a certain fear level as that I see that, you know, I can understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. I think that the damage is really done in the fact of there was nowhere where they could go to being a parental or an older figure to try to figure it out because they didn't do it themselves. They could have reached out and tried to do it, but not, I mean, just being honest, not a lot of people have that inclination to try to do it.
But it's a responsibility of anybody wanting to become a citizen of the United States to go through that process.
Yeah,
and they have not initiated that process. So by them not taking that upon themselves to become citizens of this, they've had 10 years. How long do we give them?
No, I get that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just, you know, for some people, where are they going to go? They're going to go back to a country that they've never seen. They don't know anything about, you know. That's why I say the system when it comes to immigration is broken, and it's disrespectful to our country that the Democrats have used this as a ploy in the way that they have. I'm not advocating for the illegal immigration or the fact of just really the procrastination of anyone who has not gone through this process. But the reality is that they had all this time. While it was in lawsuits, why weren't they drafting a bill? Why, you know what I mean? They talk about Republicans not trying to put up meaningful legislation, just making noise. Well, what are you doing? They've literally just been making noise about it. And then when it gets shot down, they go, look at the racists.
Yeah, well, they put up in what in their minds was meaningful legislation. And that was, we give everybody an amnesty, which is not all of men, which is not meaningful legislation at all, because they knew firsthand that was not going to work. That was not going to fly.
Well, and that's another part that I want to touch on too. If we're trying to get to a point to where there is meaningful things that are actually done, if you're really looking to try to find some kind of middle ground, as they've been preaching this entire time, right? Why haven't you brought something that can actually be meaningful or have some form of middle ground while you're in the majority?
Yeah.
They didn't. I mean, look at what Republicans did when they were there. We did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
we so there was actually legislation that was granted or that was written that I believe had Republican support across the board that would have granted some form of pathway to citizenship, but at the same time, it included funding for the wall. And Democrats, being in the majority in the House at the time, just said, No, that's not going to happen.
Yep. See, it goes back to for me, it goes back to one key thing. And this is why more Hispanics and African Americans, mainly African American males, are moving towards the Republican Party. It's because you're starting to see that these policies are not beneficial to these minority groups that they're saying that they're trying to benefit for. It's only beneficial for them when they're in the majority because they're trying to put something else in that bill, or they're trying to store a coup.
As a great friend of ours said, they're leaving the plantation.
That's it's you, not me this time.
Hey, I'm quoting here.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to protect our borders, but you won't let everybody in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gripe about it too, but then gripe about the fact that, oh, well, no one's fixing our infrastructure. Well, you're adding more capacity to
yes. Well, so there was something else that was brought up that kind of caught my attention a little bit there. And that was what the White House response to what they're wanting to do to push this through. And that was that because Americans are not reproducing at at a high enough rate for us to be a continued society, then we need to have a higher influx of immigrants in order to be able to maintain our civilization.
We're not reproducing at a high rate because we can't afford to.
Expensive.
Because the Democrats broke the system.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes back to this, like, not to go down this rabbit hole, but
no, let's do it. Let's go down the rabbit hole.
I mean, well, so when you start talking about the longevity of infrastructure, right? Mm-hmm. And then you start talking about, well, we don't have the society to support it or the tax base to support it, all these claims that they're making, yet they want to move into a whole new area of energy that people cannot afford. It's like it's a spiral that they are causing because they don't see the cause and effect of their own actions and policies. It just goes back to California. I mean, look, California is like the battleground, or I don't want to say battleground, but it's the if you want to look at what the issue is and why everybody's leaving California, it's because these policies that they're trying to implement across the country are the same ones they've already implemented in California. And we see how well that's not working because all of them say that, yeah, hey, we're moving out of California because our taxes are too high. We can't afford to live. We can't afford housing. We can't afford vehicles. And this is where they've already passed all the policies that they want to put across the nation.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. You are not wrong about that. So this whole platform is, or this whole push for this DACA amnesty and everything along that line is really being pushed forward in the Senate. And there was actually a senator, I believe it was Dick Durden out of Illinois, that came out and said, we have to get this through now because we don't know what the House is going to be, or because of the House makeup that's coming in, we don't know if we're going to be able to get it through the future. So we have to get this through during this lame duck session.
See, again, political tool.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't care about those kids.
Nope.
They don't care about this country. They don't care about, like, the future of this country. They're using every excuse they can to get that emotional tug and try to woo people over getting this stuff done and why they think it's the right thing when really it's the wrong thing to do in the method that they're doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with you on that one. They most certainly don't care about the people outside themselves or their donors or those who are going to give them their job at the next level that are going to take care of the rest of their family for generations to come. They don't care about anybody else. It's just, it's them, themselves, and they.
Yep.
That's it. But we don't like to really come up with problems without recommending solutions. And in my mindset, there is a very good solution. I actually kind of jotted down a little draft of what that solution could be. And any legislator that is listening to this, you please feel free to take this in, especially if you're coming into the new House. And this could be future rule or future issue bringing up. And that being that any outgoing change of leadership may not pass any new law that will make national changes to the federal legislative code unless an imminent threat or natural disaster occurs.
See, it's crazy when you think about the fact, me being a bureaucrat, right?
Mm-hmm.
That all we're asking is that the federal government abide by the same rules that your state and local governments do.
So we know legislators are elected to a position to do a job, and that job doesn't end until the next Congress is sworn in. What we're saying here, and we are not saying don't do your job. What we're saying here is once you realize and once you know that you are not going to be in the leadership capacity, or you're not going to have that power and authority to do it in the near future, you don't have that right to push through this type of stuff and force your agenda on the American population, especially right after an election. So what we're saying is you really should just maintain status quo.
Yep.
And
I mean, we're talking.
I mean, there's a big budget bill that's getting ready to come through.
Yep. We're talking really over the course of basically 2.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to start trying to ram stuff down the American people's throat because they know that they will not be in the majority in the House anymore. And then by 2024, fingers crossed, we're going to have a great president again, and we're going to have a new Senate, and they won't be in the majority, and they'll never have another shot. They'll never have another shot at this.
Yes. So these recipients that we're talking about right now, both the DACA recipients and just illegal aliens across the country, they don't have the right to vote. However, if this gets pushed through, they will have the right to vote. And that will affect our electorate altogether. So they are bringing in an entire new class of voters to be able to vote on these things after they had already been voted out.
And that goes across the board of being unfair. Right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because we can see that a lot of these people, just trends, right, are voting conservative, but that's still not fair to the people who've gone through the process the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about 3 million people who are going to come in and they can truly decide elections.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's just not fair for the people who actually came in and went through the process and went through, the red tape and the rigmarole to, become citizens.
Oh, yeah.
It's really time that we actually have a meaningful sit down conversation about immigration reform.
Yeah. And what he's in the discussions that we've had previously with that and that meaningful discussion, ultimately coming out being we stop immigration coming in for a period of time until we allow for the backlog of those who have already applied to be brought forward and refinished and processed. Then allowing and then having, while you're having that processing going through, having those debates, having that conversation to come up with new terms to have a new system in place that would allow for effective immigration outside of this open border policy junk that they have that we've survived through for the past 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah, it's truly horrifying to see that. And this is not something new that we've talked that we haven't talked about before, because we've said this in the past, to where the reason why they are wanting this open border policy is to have these illegal immigrants become voters.
And the thing for me is, right, like it's basically civics 101. That's what the studying process is. You can if we're really talking about it, right, allow for the class, allow for the education process, bring down the cost to go through the process, which is the real part of the really big thing, because you're talking on average, $15,000-$20,000 per person who has to come in, and there's a system that can be put in place based upon merit and everything else, which is how every other American has to, make it through life.
Mm-hmm.
That can really change and help progress society versus allowing anyone and everyone. That just basically means you got in line first.
But Jamie, you're such a cold-hearted person for not wanting to allow immigrants to come from these terrible, horrible other countries to our great, prosperous nation, though.
No, I'm just saying that the same things that we have to fight for and that all of our ancestors fought for is the same thing that anyone should have to fight for.
So that may have been slightly scripted because we have had that discussion before off camera. And a little plug in there to what is it? It's the Mockingjay, I believe that's what it is, or the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. And my favorite scene in that entire series is the scene at the dam where you hear this chorus of people singing, walking up to this fire line of these oppressive folks that then open fire on this entire crowd of people. Yet they still keep charging because they know that they have to achieve their objective in order to help overthrow their oppressors. And that's what Americans did during the Civil War. I mean, not Civil War, the American Revolution. That's what they had to do. They had to go. They had to fight. And in most cases, a lot of people died that were unarmed and were not able to fight back, but they were still there and they still fought what they could and did what they could.
Yep.
They bled for this country in order for us to be able to do it. These immigrants that are coming in, they haven't bled yet.
Yeah. And they're
taking advantage of the system.
Yeah. And again, we're not advocating for some kind of war with Central America or South America. But what we are saying is
borders I've heard folks say that they do have the solution for this, and that is we build the wall, and then outside the wall we have the moat, which is the Rio Grande. We stock it full of sharks, alligators, piranhas, and crocodiles.
Hey, you make it through that
and beg people.
You're in. Make it through that.
That's when you'll bleed.
But I mean, like there's got to be some skin in the game.
Exactly.
People who've gone through the process, it is not an easy process.
No, not at all.
And I'm not saying
it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, and I'm not saying make it super easy. But you got to know the history of this country. Mm-hmm. You got to know, it has to mean something to you.
And you have to be able to
embedded. Yeah, it's embedded in us because we go through the system. We, are brought up to be proud Americans, and
our ancestors earned our right to be
here.
They have
across the board, and they're coming in with not a understanding of what the melting pot culture is and what it means to be an American. They're just coming in with their own ideology, which is the same problem that we're seeing. We start talking about socialism growing. Well, you got people who are fleeing socialist countries coming to America and going, well, I'm used to it being this way. I'm here for the freedom, but I want to make it like this over here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're going to start to see this overarching growth in this ideology of government should take care of everything because these people, that's all they know.
Not just government taking care of everything, but, Dearborn, Michigan's a great example of what could happen with that.
California coming to Georgia is a great example too.
That's very true.
Because we see that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You got people who are fleeing California and New York, coming to states like Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, and then they're going, we want it like this. We want all these services. We want this. And all you're doing
without paying the taxes for it.
Without paying as high of taxes. They are literally migrating. And all they're doing is bringing that ideology and being upset when they don't get their way. And then when they don't get their way, they want you to do it like they did, which is what they just left from.
Mm-hmm. Because their truth is reality.
That they left from.
Mm-hmm. There's no more assimilation. That's what it boils down to.
Disgusting times.
Very true. But put that rule change in place. Stop a lot of it. So again, any legislators that are listening, refer back to that rule that we're just, and actually, as a matter of fact, I'm going to read it off just for a second time, just for you guys that are listening. And that is, any outgoing change of leadership may not pass any new law that will make national changes to the federal code unless an imminent threat or natural disaster occurs. I mean, it's plain, it's simple, it's easy. You don't have to have 90 million different codifications that come in after it or qualifications that come in with it. I mean, that's the thing
it really blows my mind because the fact of literally in every other form of government, not word for word, but there's some form of phrase like that, except for the federal government. That makes no sense.
Well, they're special. And by special, I mean, they know what when Windex tastes like. See, you outright try and get us banned. I throw little quips in there like that and make it very.
I just like being myself. I'm just blunt. I'm just not allowed to be myself here.
So the funny thing in real life, the roles are reversed wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly. That's what makes it fun.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like opposite day when it comes on the show.
Yep. Because I can't be as extreme as I really am.
I'm not going to touch that.
We're just going to leave that there.
I'm just going to leave that one alone. That was just teeing it up. That's way too easy. Not even going to go there. But as always, we do like to remind our viewers to make sure they're hitting the like button and the share button on all of our content. Also, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button. That way you'll stay up to date on any of the content that we do produce and put out. We also like to encourage our viewers to go to our website at conservativestalk.org and become a sponsor today, and really helping Jamie and I to be able to come out and be the ultimate rulers of the universe. That way we can fix all of this. We can do it with a wave of a magic wand. All we need is your support and by becoming a sponsor.
Right through the metaverse. Exactly.
Facebook will be the first to go. I'm sorry, overlords. I didn't mean that.
That's going to get us canceled.
Yeah, just a little bit of that. But Jamie, with that, let's jump right into our second topic, and that is the Democrats, per usual, are letting no good tragedy go to waste.
This one really pisses me off.
Yes.
Because it never fails.
No, not at all. Never.
Right. It doesn't matter what it is. They will take any tragedy, any bad situation, and they will use it to try to increase their gun grab.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
What we're referring to is the Colorado Springs shooting that happened earlier. And for those of you who don't know, there was a shooting at a club in Colorado Springs where a guy walked into a bar and killed 5 people at the moment and injured several more using what they are referring to as a long gun. That could be many, many things.
I don't know what that is.
That's a long gun. Every bolt action rifle that I had in the gun cabinet is a long gun. A pump action shotgun is a long gun. Anything with a barrel of more than 16 inches or a shotgun of more than, I believe it's 18 inches with an overall length of, I believe in Colorado, it's 23 inches is considered a long gun.
Sounds like a street term because
it's a legal term. It is a legal term.
Like, you say, "Oh, I used the long gun." It's like when I used the hand cannon.
Yeah, it's essentially any type of rifle or shotgun that has a long barrel on it. Anything more than 16 inches. That's all a long gun is any type of rifle or shotgun with a barrel longer than 16 inches. So we don't even know if it was a rifle or a shotgun. It was a long gun.
See,
but yet they're coming out and calling for these weapons of war bans.
My problem is and will always be that it's like they come out and they will make a statement, and you don't even have to know someone's policies, and you can tell that they're a Democrat when they come out. And I hate to be that way, I really do. Mm-hmm. But they will say, "Oh my God, we're so sorry about this tragedy." Change their profile picture and go, "And this is why we need to ban guns."
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you just let us mourn?
Yeah. Not even. I mean, look, as callous as it sounds, the bodies weren't even cold yet before Biden came out and called for a bigger gun ban.
Yep. I mean, I'm talking within hours. The moment it happened, pretty much, basically, they put out something which shows how desensitized, how like disconnected and just inhumane. Like, you can't even let people grieve without trying to shove something down their throat.
Well, I mean, we are talking about the party that wants to abort kids from conception up until and after the day of birth.
I know, but like, and again, why are we not having a conversation about mental illness? Because we've shown just in the trends that it doesn't matter. Like the profile is the same. The profile is the same. And we show from countries who have done gun bans that when you take away the gun, they're going to use another weapon. But the profile still shows that these are people who have shown like a history of similar patterns of growing violence and, mental instability. And no one has intervened at that point.
Oh, yeah. And so, I mean, it begs to answer, would this gun ban or these assault weapon bans that he describes them would they have helped in this situation? And I think we've answered that question of being a very strong no. And we say that based upon this guy's past, and that being in 2019, the man called or the man was threatening his mother by blowing or saying that he was going to blow her up or come in and shoot her to death or come in and stab her to death. But he made a bomb threat against his own mother. His mother then came in and called the police. Well, the police responded and found him in a nearby house where he took the occupants of that house hostage. I mean, they charged him with 2 counts of felony menacing and then 3 counts of felony first-degree kidnapping. So we knew this guy's an outright felon altogether. There's no question about that. We also can, because of these charges that had been brought against him, we can make the good assumption that he was not able to get these firearms legally. So would a weapons ban had helped at all? Because all you're doing at that point in time is banning legal firearm sales.
Which goes back to the other point of look at where it occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at the gun laws and restrictions in place in the state of Colorado, how did he even get the gun?
Well, it definitely wasn't legally.
Which goes back to the main point of when you implement gun laws, they only hurt law-abiding citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Never fails.
Absolutely, yeah. Colorado is a red flag state. They're also a required safe, secure state, meaning you can be charged for not securing your firearm. Like if police happen to see that you are walking by your house and look through your window and see that you have a firearm just sitting on the table, you can be charged for that.
Oh, that's wild.
Oh, yeah. It is a misdemeanor, and you can be charged for it. Punishable by not less than a year in prison or more than $1,000.
I mean, we play poker with the guns on the table. I don't understand what. Can you imagine? Like they just walk up on a poker game, and then everybody's guns on the table, and they just like next thing you know, you're raided. Like that's just the South's so different.
That would give police probable cause or reasonable suspicion to invade your home by looking through your window and seeing that.
But yet, someone can make a bomb threat, hold people hostage, and they're free to go.
Why was this guy not in jail? Which is another crazy question.
See, I was leading into that because think about it, right? Like, so I can go to jail for a year because you walk by my house.
Up to a year.
Well,
actually, it's 364 days.
Yeah, because that's the because
anything 365 or more is a felony.
Yep. But I can go to jail for a year because you or my neighbor who doesn't like me walked by and saw my gun on the table.
Called the police.
And they came by and saw it. Right? But somehow, some way, some kid who kidnapped his neighbors and called bomb threat on his mom was able to get free within a year and a half from that.
Barricaded himself inside his neighbor's house, threatening to
like that's mental illness, man. Like that's mental illness. There's something like why did they get that? Like I don't know. Like
how did he even get the? I'm curious about where he got the firearm from.
And the other thing I'm more concerned with is just like I know the police couldn't do anything, right? And what I mean by that is where I'm going with this. How could that situation occur and everyone around that kid not immediately go and have him put in a facility?
You would think that he would have been involuntarily committed for that.
Correct. Because people get threatened with it or done for way less.
Oh, yeah.
And I just don't know, man. The whole thing's heartbreaking, and it really just disturbs me that once again, the left will use anything to get an agenda. That scares me more than anything.
Yeah, and they're talking about it being, or they have come out and described it on the left as being a hate crime because it was in a gay bar. But because of this guy's past mental illnesses, I mean,
he wouldn't have known. I mean, that's just an assumption, but I mean,
the dude called a bomb threat on his mother.
On his mama. He hates everyone.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
And it goes back to the situation down in Texas. I mean, this individual was assaulting his grandmother before he went into an elementary school. That's not a gun problem. That's a mental health problem.
Mm-hmm.
When you start attacking women, you got a problem. When you start attacking the people who cared for you, you have a serious problem.
Yes, especially those maternal figures.
Because that's
a degradation of the human society altogether.
Correct, and that's an ultimate break.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you can, there's a part of the psyche that is immediately snapped the moment that you can no longer separate enemy from caretaker.
Yeah,
even people who go through a situation, they may not recognize someone, but they know that there's a sense of nurture that they feel. When you no longer feel that and everyone's the enemy, they gotta be detained.
So there's another development in this that really kind of caused me to cringe a little bit somewhat. And that is that our mayor, or not our mayor, but the mayor, the fish face looking woman from Star Wars from Chicago.
You mean the penguin?
Yeah.
Oh, left foot.
Mm-hmm. She came out and called this sick and tragic that all of these people were assaulted and killed. Can you think of anything more hypocritical than that?
Bro.
I mean, the woman who runs a city where that same night there were four gang-related killings and multiple shootings. That night alone, and that's just one night.
The mayor of Chirac.
Yes.
Where they allow people to leave the state for 48 hours before they're allowed to chase them.
Exactly.
You can kill somebody in Chicago. I mean, how we know the man was from Chicago? He had 48 hours to leave there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, she came out and called it sick and tragic.
Sounds like somebody's getting ready for a political bid.
Well, she has everything she could literally come in and make massive changes in her own city to help protect citizens. Yet she's more concerned about something that's going on in another state that she has no control over. She has no power and influence over. And she's calling that sick and tragic. Well, what the heck is happening in your own city, lady?
Man. This is definitely a rabbit hole, but when I used to dabble down the good old YouTube before they started removing videos, the craziest thing I ever saw was someone with a RPG in the middle of the projects in Chicago. And that's what really gave the nickname Chirac, was because someone was walking around with a rocket launcher, a true weapon of war, in the streets of a United States city. It was like broad daylight, you know what I mean? Like you're in the trenches. I don't understand. You know what I mean? But okay.
Even me personally, I would turn around and walk the other way if I saw that.
Run. I have friends from Chicago, and I don't even joke with them. Because the things that you've seen, I hope I never see. That's just the reality of life.
Real life version of PTSD there.
Yeah. In your neighborhood.
But yeah, I can't believe that she actually had the audacity to come out and say that.
It's bold. It's bold. You only do that when Democrats run and people run nationally.
Yeah, and she just, I I don't know if their elections were this year, probably next year.
Next year
for municipalities.
Yep, 23.
So I don't know. She may be trying to use that as a outreach to the alphabet agency or the alphabet communities in her little city. And those ultra progressives there. Oh, she cares about them, but she doesn't care about all the other people there.
Having flashbacks.
And with that, we do like to remind our viewers to make sure they're hitting the like button and the share button on any of our content that they do run across. Make sure you're also hitting the subscribe button. That way you'll never miss a single episode or a single moment of Jamie's incredibly infectious laughter that we welcome back wholeheartedly this episode.
I was mad last time.
We also encourage our viewers to go to our website at conservativetalk.org and hitting that sponsor tab and helping us out to become the dictators of the universe and fix all of these issues, because when Jamie and I rule the universe, everything will be in order.
Because they're inside.
Trying to say you're allergic to something?
No, I just had the little German in there.
Oh my gosh. And on that note, yeah. Yeah. And on that note,
let's move to the next
bring
topic.
up our next topic.
Yeah. The real life House of Cards.
Yes. So as we had said earlier, Republicans now control the House. And because of that control, there has been a new shakeup in leadership. And that new leadership coming in as Congressman Kevin McCarthy, will be the likely Speaker of the House. You'll have Congressman Steve Scalise from Louisiana, who's likely going to be the new majority leader. And then you have Tom Emmer from Minnesota, who is going to be the majority whip. That's going to be that's the House majority leadership. Those are the people who control what legislation comes and goes and really are the power brokers within the House. So we will be saying goodbye and good riddance to the 82-year-old Nancy Pelosi. And now get this. Nancy Pelosi was first elected to her position in 1987. I was 1 year old at that time.
See, here's the crazy thing, right?
You weren't even
I wasn't
thought
even
of.
born.
You weren't even thought of.
My parents weren't even married then.
You weren't even a twinkle in your dad's eye.
Literally. Like, you know what I mean? Like, think about that. That woman's been in Congress longer than I've been alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's deplorable.
But yeah, that's something to really throw out there.
When you think about that, like, you know what I mean? You got two whole generations that are now voting that weren't even alive.
Weren't even considered.
Didn't even have a name for us yet.
When this woman was first elected.
Yep.
But we do have a potential likely replacement that is going to be coming for her, and that is Hakeem Jeffries.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, thank you. I had something stuck in the back of my throat there. Thank you for that. Might be coming in as the new minority leader.
Which goes to show that they're getting ready to double down.
Yes. So for those who are not aware, Hakeem Jeffries is a ultra progressive candidate, or an ultra progressive member of Congress.
To make our listeners throw up, right? He makes Nancy Pelosi look like a moderate.
Oh yeah,
like
one of the ultimate election deniers as well. By the way, for the 2020 election, he was one of the objectors. Excuse me, not the 2020 election, 2016 election. He was one of the ultimate objectors from the Democrat Party.
I was going back and looking at some things, and it's so funny how in 2020 they wanted to call it a cult and everything else, right? But go back and watch how they treated Hillary Clinton in 2016. That was a cult. Like, that was freaking scary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of people who are loyal to Donald Trump. And not just his ideology, but him as a person and everything else. There is nothing in comparison to what 2016 was. Like, it was like a little compilation video that I went back and watched that I had saved for years ago. And I'm talking, you had Jay-Z, Beyonce, Oprah. You had what's that guy's name from that dumb show on Showtime, The Circus? John, what's his name? Anyway,
Heldman or something like that.
Yeah. He was on CNN talking about there's no chance that Trump will win. Like it went through this whole gambit of people, all of them saying Donald Trump doesn't have a chance. And I'll never forget, I was sitting in my master's class, and my professor was a big Republican, and she looked up at me and she said, Jamie, hurry up and finish your test because Donald Trump just won Florida. And you need to get out of
here. Your life is in danger.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like, it's time to go celebrate.
Yeah.
Like, hurry up and get this over with because the impossible just happened. Or what anyone who knew the math saw was getting ready to happen. But we just go again and just take everything that they actually did. They now use that message to try to demonize Republicans and conservatives. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
It's funny that all these media pundits that are pushing the big lie were
the big
absolutely
lie.
silent in 2016
because they were the big lie.
Mm-hmm. They initiated the big lie. They didn't want to get called out on it. So, but yeah. Well, with that in mind, because for those of you who have not seen the episode, House of Cards is all about the give and take or the ebb and flow of politics at the federal level, and one of those is who gets committee placements and where they get placed. So we did see in 2021, for the first time in history, a member of Congress was removed from committees without having committed an actual crime.
Which was, and look, I said it then, they keep setting awful precedents that they don't really want the repercussions of, because when it happens, by God.
Which it's about to happen.
And hey, look, and we're not just going to stab you with a toothpick. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to put it in there and turn.
Oh yeah, they went after one. We're going after three.
Mm-hmm.
And those three are Representative Omar, Representative Swalwell, and Representative Pencil Neck Shift.
Good.
So Representative Omar will be removed from her Foreign Affairs Committee position.
Here's the whole other thing. You got the most anti-Semitic person in Congress on foreign affairs.
Mm-hmm.
When our closest ally is Israel.
Yep. Well, according to her, it's all about the Benjamins.
Oh, and the racism, which is which is awful.
9/11. Think about those poor people who were victims of Islamophobia, rather than the Americans that were murdered in those towers.
I really don't like that woman. I have to watch my words and what I'm about to say, but
Mother's
good.
Watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, she will be removed from her position on that committee. So, and these are promises that Kevin McCarthy, a speaker, has made that they will be done. So, in addition to her, Swalwell, the Chinese spy concubine, will no longer be sitting on the House Intelligence Committee, which McCarthy's got a favorite saying. This man couldn't even get a security clearance in the civilian sector. Why would we give him clearance
to the whole key?
Yes.
Like he didn't need clearance. They just gave him the whole key to the castle.
Yep.
Between him and Hunter, China should just be sitting in there with him.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not wholly convinced that they weren't messing with the same woman. Fang Fang may have been Hunter's little staff assistant. Fang Fang, really? Come on now.
You know it's a fake name.
No, that was her real name.
I know that's the one that's on her documents.
That was, yeah. But Fang Fang, really? Can you not think of a more treacherous name in the history of names? When I think of a supervillain, I think of Fang Fang.
Well, that's how you know the name's fake.
Yeah. Well, at least I know that she's sitting in a dark room somewhere with her fingers doing this right here, laughing maniacally.
I just once a cuck, always a cuck.
No. Yep.
And people expect that to be okay. You know, it's when you have someone who has had a background, who literally the U.S. will not clear to let into our own private rooms. Like they would have to go revamp this whole man's life if he ever ran for a higher office, you know, but he can't get into our stuff. So we let him on the intelligence committee so that he actually sees and gets debriefed on what's going on.
So if I'm not mistaken, and I may be, I do believe that he was part of the military intelligence apparatus when he was serving in the military. So that's kind of where he got the nod to sit on the House Intelligence Committees, because he used to be in MI, or military intelligence, which kind of, as the old saying goes, that's kind of an oxymoron within itself, military intelligence. But
I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah, I wouldn't, because the gun's right there. But no, in order to have that position, you would have had to have had a security clearance.
So why was it taken? Exactly. That's why
now he does not. He couldn't even get that because of that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, I'm not going to touch that, because that's a level that has not been declassified yet.
And we're not telling you anything that you can't find by a quick Google search, by the way.
Yeah, Google search the man's name. That's where you find it. Don't go to the Wikipedia page, though.
Well, I mean,
they'll give you a little bit of hint, but clearly they revamped it.
He probably got on there later on.
Paid his $5 so he could
became he probably paid 10 to where he become platinum contributor.
Yeah. Change whatever you want.
Exactly. So the last one that is going to be removed from the Intelligence Committee is old Pencil Neck Shift. And that is in relation to the Steele dossier that he pushed down the Americans' throats for 2 years running. He was the House member that said, oh, we've got all this information. We've got all these smoking guns, and it's all in this dossier, knowing completely that it was all
fabricated
misinformation.
Yep.
Let's use their term on that. It's misinformation. Yet he went on national publication, on national media, and said, we have all this credible information that it's coming out soon. It's going to be released. And when the Steele dossier was actually released and opened up,
nothing.
Oh, no. And he knew it the whole time. So he lied to the American people for 2 years.
To go along with their production.
So again, somebody that would not be able to get a security clearance.
It's just really astonishing. Like the orchestration between them to pass misinformation, to pass classified information, to slander, to literally dehumanize and objectify situations just to try and push their agenda down there. I'm telling you, I swear to God, like it terrifies me because the way that we believe 2040 should look and the way that they believe 2040 should look are not the same.
Oh no.
And they're trying to do it to where there's going to be no distinction between man or woman or any version of the Americas, because they want whatever they're trying to plan or whatever coup they're doing to be able to travel freely across our hemisphere. Which
Jamie's
is terrifying.
Going back into the dark corners of the...
I know, it scared me. That's why, I mean,
oh yeah,
YouTube PTSD.
Oh yeah. So there have these members are coming out and decrying this and saying that these are nothing more than political attacks. That this is
like, what was yours?
this isn't right. This isn't what their constituents put them in office to be able to do. I mean, sounds exactly what they ignored in 2021.
Yeah. I mean, they removed my representation from Congress. My voice was not heard in committees because they wanted to make a choice, because they didn't value the people that my neighbors, myself, and our opinion. Absolutely.
So Omar actually put out a statement. I want to read this, and that is, quote, from the moment I was elected, the Republican Party has made it their mission to use fear, xenophobia, Islamophobia, and racism to target me on the House floor and through millions of dollars of campaign ads. McCarthy's effort to repeatedly single me out for scorn and hatred, including threatening to strip me from my committee, does nothing to address the issues our constituents deal with. It does nothing to address inflation, healthcare, or solve the climate crisis. She said that end quote, and quote again, she said that the constant stream of hate has led to hundreds of death threats and credible plots against me and my family. End quote.
God don't like ugly.
Well, I mean,
because hey, look, hey, bro, that's karma.
Exactly.
That's karma. What did you do to us? Like, you literally did that to my community.
Oh yeah,
our representation, our elected official. Like, God don't like ugly. Hey, and they say don't go after your own karma because it comes, and there it is.
Well, her God's not your God, so.
The prophet's different. There's only one God. They just had the awful son.
It's not wrong about that.
No disrespect. Hey, I'm just saying, we won't, you know what I mean? Abraham liked our side. That's what my Old Testament said.
We were the favorites.
That's what my Old Testament said. I'm not trying to be ugly.
I might have to cut that. No.
I mean, that.
Oh man,
that's right out of the Bible.
It is. It really is.
It's maybe we need like a millennial version that kind of explains it that way, but that's how I read it.
That's what happens.
I'm just saying.
Oh man. But yeah, she's talking about how, because of what McCarthy is doing, or Republicans in general are doing, that she's had all these credible threats against her. She's bashing McCarthy for allowing or stripping her from her committee while allowing others like Marjorie to be able to rise through the ranks. I mean, that's a complete reversal of what she was saying in 2021 when she was pushing for more powerful committees under Pelosi. Exactly. It's the world's smallest fiddle playing the world's saddest song.
I care less, woman. Hey.
Did it to yourself?
Yep. Well, we said it. That and every politico in the country said, y'all don't want to do this because this is what you're doing is unprecedented, and it is the worst decision that you can make, because the moment it happens, we're coming for blood.
Change the game.
Change the game.
You got to play the game you changed.
Those are your rules.
Yeah, I mean, she's worthless. She's she's just a terrible person in all honesty. I was going to say something terrible there, but I pulled back. So, but she really is a truly bad person. Everything that she puts out there. I mean, she married her brother, by the way,
so she could be in the country. Like, I mean,
he could come in, yeah,
like the whole thing.
So
top to bottom,
Babylon Bee actually came out with an article saying that you know, this whole marriage equality thing that's being pushed through right now. Well, she tried to rush through a last little amendment that said, well, you know,
you marry incest.
While you're doing that, why not throw in being able to marry your brother as being legal too? But of course, McConnell shot that down because that only works in his state, though. So
look, hey, you gonna offend our friends from Kentucky?
There's a couple things I like to say about some of those. Friend is not one of them.
That did bring like a memory in my head, though. Vin Diesel made this movie. Do you remember Babylon AD?
Yes, I do.
Like her, New York City, all of it. It all kind of fits, doesn't it? That's where they want us to go. Dang. Hollywood played that one out.
It wasn't even South Park.
It wasn't even South Park. That's crazy.
Oh man, the most prophetical show on the planet, on planet Earth.
That
I can't wait till this come out the new season.
I want to see who runs against her next time.
I stopped myself.
I'd like to see, you know what I mean? Like, what we could do to help that person.
Well, it is Dearborn, so.
Valid. Valid.
So how a woman's even able to run
just that's the gosh honest truth.
This is we're
I mean,
we're really pushing the boundaries.
It's like black people running North Ohio. You know what I mean? Just don't have it. I'm saying. No offense to our friends in Ohio. We love you guys. I need to do something about those Sunset City so I can come visit.
Oh wow. Okay. And on that note, we do like to remind our viewers that they are hitting the like button and the share button on all of our content. Make sure you're also subscribing to our show. That way you'll never miss any of our episodes like this. You'll always be able to come back and hear Jamie's incredibly infectious laughter, and you will always be able to see that wonderful room brightening smile of his. We also encourage our viewers to make sure you're also going to our website at conservativestalk.org and hitting that sponsor tab and helping Jamie and I to be able to produce more content like this so we can ultimately one of these days take over the universe and correct all of these issues that we are highlighting. That's the dream. Be able to sit like I've already got my throne picked out. It's the Game of Thrones chair. Like I want all the swords, except instead of swords, they're all AR-15s and M16s lined up behind me there.
There's just a certain Audi that I want.
What's that?
I can't go any further with that statement.
Okay. Well, I want the throne. You can have your car you want to. I'll take the throne.
Go look at why Audi's famous. I like the car. There's a certain Audi that I want.
Sure, and I'll get a Volkswagen.
That's cool. As long as it's not a BMW.
Oh, man. So with that searing thought in my mind, let's jump into our next topic there, and that is, so the White House has actually admit that conspiracy theories are real.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a White House spokesman, and I'm going to read his quote directly with this. And that is, where's it out? We're here. Okay, so instead of working with President Biden to address issues important to the American people, like lowering cost, congressional Republicans' top priority is to go after President Biden with politically motivated attacks chock full of long debunked conspiracy theories. And that is coming from Ian Sams, who is a spokesman for the White House counsel's office. He described the investigations that are going to be taking place into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's business dealings, that we have had numerous mountains of evidence come out.
They're trying to scare the witch hunt.
Exactly. They're dubbing it as a political attack, and that it is nothing more than going back and rehashing all of these debunked conspiracy theories.
But they're not debunked.
No, they're not.
They hit the evidence.
Exactly.
like debunking is what just happened with this committee. I don't know if I can say the J6 committee, but that's what just happened there. Because all that information came out to be debunked in a bunch of lies. Whereas what we want to do is we actually want to take the evidence that you hid and look at it. Because
I mean, that's coming from the laptop.
I mean, there was a bunch of information released on BitTorrent from Hunter's laptop, and like that's evidence. If I've ever seen it, I would.
I mean, Tony Bobulinski, Hunter Biden's business partner, hand delivered a lot of it.
420 gigabytes. 420 gigabytes of illegal data. Like,
well, data of illegal actions, not data that was obtained illegally.
Yeah. Like, first off, I record a lot of dumb things, and it's mainly because I'll do this, right? There was a period in my life to where, and there's a lot of people in my family who are gone, who future kids, family will never be able to meet. Like my kids will never be able to meet my parents, right? So I decided that I'm going to record moments so that I can, compile it all together.
Yeah.
Why you would compile 420 gigabytes of you doing illegal activity and recording it?
Like buying crack?
And weighing it and doing it off a stripper's booty? See how I cleaned that up?
You did. Mother would be proud.
Like, you're doing that, and you're gonna take it to a regular average Joe you just hope thinks and doesn't know who you are to fix your computer? Why don't you just throw the computer in the trash? Let alone record. Why don't you just delete some of that stuff? Why don't you just put it on like a external hard drive?
Why did you record it to begin with?
Yeah, I mean,
and we did this, and we talked about this in one of our previous shows. It almost seems like it was a cry for help.
Without
he wanted to get caught.
Yep. Like he's trapped.
He wanted this information to get out.
Like he's got, it's like Word documents with Pedo Joe, like Pedo Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Like he calls his dad Pedo Peter.
Yeah.
Like this is on the internet. Like you can find this like not openly, but like there's a
little bit.
Yeah. This isn't like deep web stuff. It's surface, maybe like right up under the topsoil, but like.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine calling my father that.
Let alone writing it and sending it to somebody and then saving it. What?
This is a cry.
First off, I'd shot my dad if he was like that.
Oh yeah,
that's just.
It's a cry for help. It really is. That's what I think this is. What he was doing there. It was a cry for help. He
because that's the only way out.
Yeah. He couldn't have gone to it. So I think that this was his attempt to sabotage the man that he despised. And which, if you actually read his memoir and listened to some of that, there's a little hatred
he don't like
built
that.
in there. He's making millions of dollars off of him by selling access to him, not only as the vice president, but as the president currently.
But that's literally every house, like I won't say house of cards,
I wouldn't
but
say that, but that's every child of president or any.
No, that's not what I was saying. That's literally every like family like that sitcom. I won't say sitcom either, but like drama series out there.
Mm-hmm.
You got the kid who basically parents had to do something with because he couldn't control himself at any point or learn patience or balance. You know what I mean? Like and like he's the outrageous kid in every drama movie or Empire Netflix drama or TV drama ever. Sessions comes to mind. If you ever seen that show.
But one of the things that they do that or that they do have, and they've got mountains and mountains of this information that they're going to be or just combing through. I mean, they released a 1,000-page report just off of that laptop alone. And that was just part of what they were digging into. They still have the whistleblower complaints. They still have the business documents from Bob Alinsky. They've got so much more than just what they're releasing on this. I mean, how he would be able to walk away. If he walks away from this, if Joe walks away from this unscathed, that shows that our justice system altogether, or our policing system altogether, is as corrupt as we say it is. I mean, the guy openly admits to felonious actions while purchasing a firearm. Openly admits to it. But yet they won't prosecute him on it.
I mean, ain't nobody gonna say it, but I will. I mean, he's the reason why Ukraine went to war.
There's a good, good point of that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if no one remembers, just go back and look at when Joe was running for president, the board that Hunter was on, and some of those actions that were going in. They were arguing with Russia over oil, and him being on the Ukrainian board. That was the big thing during his campaign.
Oh yeah.
But no one would take traction to it because they were just so mad at Trump.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not just that, but you also have him coming in and firing this prosecutor that was investigating his son in Ukraine, and then installing someone that is loyal to their regime.
And then
the Biden regime.
And then as soon as Ukraine and Russia go to war, what does he do?
Starts funneling money into them.
Not only that, but now he's on another board.
Oh yeah, with China.
And all of a sudden, we're selling oil to China.
Out of the strategic reserve. Yeah.
Yep. And who would have set that plan in motion? The guy we want to remove from committees.
Yep.
It all makes sense, but they don't want to put it together.
Well, it's how you get Hillaried. Just want to sleep with a gun in the nightstand.
Yeah. I'm from Shannon, Georgia, man. I was born ready to die.
Wow. Wow, Jamie. That's a statement with a lot to unpack there.
No, we just YOLO. I mean, we were YOLO before it was a thing.
Oh man. Okay. Okay. All right. So with that in mind, we like to remind our viewers to make sure they're hitting the like button and the share button on all of our content. Also, make sure you're subscribing to our pages and our content. That way, you'll always be able to get all of our episodes. You'll never miss a single moment of Jamie's incredibly infectious laughter, like you just have a current example of. And you'll always be able to see that wonderful, warming smile of his. I've just got the scowl, so.
Nah.
Yeah, but we also
someone has to hold the composure.
A little bit of that. We also encourage our viewers to make sure they're going to our website at conservativetalk.org and hitting that sponsor tab in the upper right hand corner or the lower right hand corner and becoming a sponsor today, because it is because of our sponsors that we will ultimately be able to rule the universe and not only just impeach Joe Biden, but imprison Hunter as well.
Oh no, they're gonna impeach him before then.
Hopefully. But we'll see.
That's what. Hey,
we'll see.
I'm ready for it. I'm excited. I mean, new house.
That's the peanut power, so going to be.
And I'm not even a house fan. I like the house, but
Jamie's a bigger fan of our most corrupt institution.
Hey, prestige.
It's nothing prestigious about
you misspoke. Prestige.
There is nothing prestigious about the institution that had to have its entire membership revamped and redone because it was so corrupt from the core.
Whoa! Because you sounded like you just came after my state. I mean, that's why the state of Georgia's governor can't get pardons anymore. But same energy. That's all I'm saying. But you know what I mean? Like, no.
This is top 6 saying. See, we work them in there. Well, with that in mind, let's let's talk about what happened with Buck's cousin or Buck's little brother there.
Hey, man, this is wild.
It is wild. So for those of you who have not heard Jamie talking about this before, what is that that whole movement that was called that they were going to flood Area 51 deal?
We're gonna raid Area 51 to clap them alien cheeks. That's what the Facebook group was called. That's what
I immediately regret asking.
That's what the name of the Facebook group was called.
I immediately regret asking.
There was about 1.2 million people inside of the group. 1 million or so were very dedicated to actually trying to do this, and the other, roughly 200,000 to 300,000 of us were like, "Hey, just so we're clear, this was fun. This was a great group for memes, but if you cross that line, they will kill you. Like it's a military base." Like,
well, I mean, 1 million folks show up there and surround a base. There's not much that base is going to be able to do about it.
Understood, but there's probably a good 50 to 100,000 will get taken out before they're able to do anything. Okay, I'm just saying, like they have weapons and people like you should have seen the graphs. All right, like in this, there were people who were talking about like we're going to send the Kyles out first because and that's how people were described. Like, if you're a really bulky person who likes to drink monsters, we're going to send you all as a brute first, blunt force first, and
it's the first wave.
As the first wave. Well, the front line. The flanks were going to be dispersed by what we call the Naruto runners. See, Justin doesn't watch anime, so there's a anime. I'm telling myself, there's an anime called Naruto, and he runs with his hands back, and so, it was a whole thing.
Obviously,
clearly Facebook took the group down because it's not active anymore. And friends of mine who are in the Air Force were like, we literally have to go to training because just as precautions in case, a couple 100,000 people actually do show up.
Well, we saw what that could happen with what's supposed to be the most secure institution in the country.
Oh, I was gonna say too soon, but not really.
I mean, it's almost been 2 years, so.
But that wasn't even like, well,
they let them in.
Well, here's the other thing too, right? That was a peaceful protest from what this group was talking about with Area 51.
Not if they were going to defy federal law and cross into.
What I mean by that is these people were talking about going in there. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, Mom. They're talking about going in there to try to have sex with aliens that they didn't know existed. You know what I mean? Like,
which would have had to.
It was a great joke.
They would have had to have crossed over that onto military property.
Well, here's my whole thing, right? If I don't make it in politics, I'm gonna go do stand up. So I love being a part of like groups like this because it's just great material for the future. But some of these people were serious. And some of these things do get serious, apparently.
Well, yeah, exactly. Going back to this, so this gentleman runs a website called Paradise something. I forgot what it was, and I don't want to give him all that much credence or credit anyway. But what he does is he takes drone footage that he flies around the border of Area 51, records it, and then posts it on YouTube. He posts satellite pictures. He posts articles about potential experimental aircraft. He posts articles about UFOs. It's a whole big thing. Apparently, it's a pretty widespread and popular website as well, and a big YouTube channel. Well, he got raided by the Men in Black. And what I mean by the Men in Black being the FBI and the Air Force security investigations units. So when you think of Men in Black,
that's who they really are.
Think of that, and you watch that first half of that movie, who they were recruiting from. That's who they were recruiting from, those guys. So they came in, kicked down the doors of a couple of places that he owned, and eventually came across him in one of the places with his girlfriend. They detained him outside, apparently ran his girlfriend out of that house in her underwear through the public, and then proceeded to secure hard drives, phones, drones, anything where data could be collected and stored on. I think he said somewhere almost $30,000 worth of damage and articles that were detained from him, of which he will never get back at all. Even if they come back and say there was nothing on them at all whatsoever, they're gone. They're never getting that back. With that in mind, they said that it was related to some of the footage or some of what he had recorded, what they have seen on his site. So he did go back and delete some of what he had posted. He said he doesn't know exactly what it was. He's not aware of anything other than the fact that it had to do with that. And of course, they're not going to comment and tell what exactly it was. But it begs to wonder, what exactly did he capture that would have warranted that?
And what's really interesting is the fact that
maybe he did get ET.
Here's the thing. They knew what it was.
Oh, yeah.
By the timestamp and what it looked like. And they were like, that's what we were doing. We have to go get this. And it was something that was done in such a manner to where an untrained eye would not have recognized it in broad daylight, because then it'd been everywhere.
Or imagine if it was this. He had recorded with his drone footage something that occurred between time X and time Y. But something happened at time Z immediately following Y. And they didn't know if he had time Y recorded or not.
And just didn't post it.
Yes.
Or, this is interesting too. To follow that same pattern, right? What if something happened at time Z and the only evidence that time Z occurred was his X and Y video?
Yeah, that's very true too.
Because now there's nothing saying that it actually ever happened. Another interesting thing is, so, because I follow this a lot more than I should. Right after, was it the end of 2020, 2021, during President Trump's lame duck term, there was the declassification of the unidentified flying objects. And ever since then, anything that is now classified that is related to it is not referred to as a UFO.
Nope. Jamie knows where I'm going with that.
That movie tripped me up. Jordan Peele is a very great director.
It was good up until they actually revealed what.
It's the one-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater.
Mm-hmm. Except there's no horn.
It was once it opened up. Think about it at the end. That thing that came out right before it started swallowing people.
Okay. I have to take a word.
It was.
I zoned out at that point in time.
Great.
It was a good movie right up until they revealed what it actually was.
It's a weird,
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So we don't know exactly what they took. We don't know exactly what he had recorded that they were so interested in. But the one thing that we do know is that he was effectively neuralized, because he's not able to remember exactly what it was that he recorded and what they took. So we do know that the neuralization, little flashy deal, is
plausible.
Real. No, it's real. We know what happened. We know they did this.
That's wild, because I mean, like,
Buck can confirm it. He said that his brother has never been right since.
I mean, I believe it. I mean, because it's the same
flashy
thing.
Thinged him.
It's just, I mean, you're never going to convince me that we're the only thing out here. I believe God's bigger than that. And just this thought process of, like we're going to hit that next level when we start talking about light speed and everything else, and there's a brink after that. So those who have already crossed that area and that level of intelligence, it's not implausible that they are here.
Yeah, they're in the White House,
chilling like a villain on penicillin.
Lizard people. Well, I mean, it's also kind of crazily thinking. What was it? What was in the last 50 years, we have essentially stalled on our technological advancements. We had a massive boom up until late 1980s, and then we've just been coasting since then.
It's because we stopped teaching critical thinking.
I think the aliens just stopped giving us the technology.
Well, think about what happened. Well, think about this. Think about what happened with the school system, and think about how.
So you're trying to be logical on me here.
I'm not trying to be logical. I'm trying to put it all in perspective, right? Like I think it all fits, because we're not getting advancements because they don't want us to, which is why the school system was changed, which is why we haven't, we've plateaued when we should be, based on history, on a rise again, because we're closing up to, it's been,
because the alien overlords in the White House don't want us to advance.
Well, just about 100 years since we, started flying planes. Like it's kind of sad that we hadn't colonized the moon at least yet. And we're just now getting ready to take that leap because we just now decided that, hey, it may be a good idea to privatize the thing. I'm just saying.
Privatize space flights.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, let rich people go to space. They'll lead the way, and then find a way to make money off of it, and then the rest of us get cheap tickets.
Wait a second. Did you just say that private industry is the best way to advance civilization instead of the government?
That's not what I said.
Okay, so thank you for watching.
It's the fastest way.
Best. And with that, we do take a moment at the end of every episode to make sure that we are encouraging our viewers to make sure they are hitting the like button and the share button and helping us to be able to get higher into the newsfeed by organically getting more likes and shares. We also ask that you subscribe to any of our productions that you do run across and you see out there. That way you'll never miss a single episode, especially like this one. This one's kind of going to be one for the books. Been a good one. And you'll always be able to hear Jamie's incredibly infectious laughter and be able to see that day brightening smile that he has. Just one look at Jamie's incredibly infectious smile and your day is great and golden for the rest of the day. Believe me. Whenever whenever I'm having a bad day, I just call Jamie and say, "Hey, Jamie, I need to see the smile." It's no, not really, but
I'm glad you cleaned that up again. Yeah.
We also like to encourage our viewers to help us out by going to our website at conservativestalk.org and hitting that sponsor tab in the upper right-hand corner or the lower right-hand corner and becoming a sponsor, because it is because of our sponsors that we are able to continue these productions and share our content to where Jamie and I can ultimately become those alien dictators in the White House and rule the universe.
Of
not just this universe, but every universe that could come. The multiverse.
There we go. Now we're thinking.
I pick up on a
You're
couple
getting
things
there. You're getting there.
We also want to say a quick thank you to our affiliates, and that being Net News Network. You can find them at netnewsnetwork.net. We want to say a quick thank you to Veterans for America First, as well as their media arm, Vet Voice. So, Jamie, with that in mind, would you like to give your final reminder?
Yes. 12 days. 12 days until we get rid of the false prophet and we end this madness. End it.
That we call the simulation.
December 6th. That is D-Day. That is the day we save this country.
Decision day. That's the D-Day. I like that.
It's Decision Day. It's the day we save this country by voting for Herschel Walker in the state of Georgia. Might have to fill out some paperwork after that, but there we go.
Might be a little of that. So, Jamie, any final thoughts?
I had one. Probably just need to stay off of TikTok conspiracy theories, but
You on TikTok conspiracy theories?
No, like I follow conspiracy theory pages on TikTok.
No, I don't believe it.
It's kind of a bad thing. The things I could tell you, we haven't advanced in technology because they're trying to stop us from being able to move large masses with our minds. Masons are holding the technology and they don't want to give it to us.
On a real world note, we do want to say a very sincere welcome back to NT Green on Twitter. So the all hail the Queen.
Shout out to the Queen. Love it.
So with that, this has been
the world is whole again.
It is. It's going to be a lot more interesting. So with that in mind, this is Conservatives Talk.